Okay, we are in a place called the Basin, and as you can hear I'm huffing and puffing because the tide is going out and I had to fight the current all the way up the channel. And then as you come in through this very, very narrow opening here where the bridge is, current really rushes. You can kind of see even here there's bits of stuff floating by. So this was a very interesting place in the early days of the colony, and I'll give you a bit of a description of what this was used for. Of course, it's a beautiful nature reserve now, but it actually had a very utilitarian purpose in the early days of the colony. But I'm going to paddle away before I get sucked back out of the bridge, and when I get a bit further up I'll give you a little bit of a history lesson on the Basin. Can you believe that I am in the middle of Sydney? Absolutely gorgeous this place is, and I'm just going to have a scout around further up to see where the source of this place is. And I think there's a little waterfall we can have a look at if I manage to get up there, and hopefully I don't miss the receding tide, which means that I'll get a bit of a free ride on the way home, because if the tide turns I want to be in a lot of trouble. It's going to get dark on me. I do have a headlight. If it looks like I'm running a bit late, I'll probably pop that on for the passage across Port Hacking there, because there's a lot of big cruisers coming through, and one tried to sink me on the way across. Thought I might have to use the pump, but no, it's still staying where it was. Didn't need to pump the boat out, but I was a bit worried for a while there. But yeah, just absolutely beautiful. I'll just turn the camera around for you guys and give you a bit of a view of what this looks like. It's obviously a very favourite place for a lot of people, but at the moment I think there's a small family over there on the side, and that's about it. There's a bit of a rope swing over there, and still and calm. And yeah, the way I got here was I left from Wally Wharf, which is at the end of Port Hacking Road in South Caringbah, and very busy boat ramp. I had to park the car up around the corner. I just dropped everything on the boat ramp, quickly drove around, parked the car, and now I'm in the middle of majestic nature. So yep, fantastic paddle, but yeah, don't do it like I did, paddling against the tide, unless you feel like a lot of exercise, because I tell you what, the current rushing under the bridge to come into here into the basin as you come under the bridge was a real rip tide. I was paddling and I was just managing to go a bit faster than the current. Okay, we have tree number 1 and the very sad looking pine tree number 2, and I think that this would be a great place to string up a camping hammock. And it's one of the great things about camping or looking for places you can camp with a hammock, and that's that it's doesn't require flat ground really. I've got some nice rocks further up that I could sit on and have a bit of a meal, and I could just be sitting here and looking out at this beautiful little pond. So yeah, sound of a little waterfall in the background. So I shall be coming back here probably when I'm out for a really short trip, and you know, I'm really close to Sydney, but one of the great things about being in a kayak, you can just see the kayak off there in the distance, is that once you have to go through some shallow water, well that means that power boats can't go there. And I was almost dragging the bottom most of the way here. Once the speed limit drops below 4 knots, most people aren't interested, and if you can't get to it by a walking path, you will not see anybody, and that's one of the great things about it. So yeah, should I step on a snake here or something? Yeah, I've got phone coverage here, believe it or not, so about 1 bar, so I could probably call for help, which is good. It's unusual really, because most of the time I'm in these little valleys, and I really do need to get a transponder to keep myself safe, which I will be doing very shortly. But yeah, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But I've got to get going pretty soon, because I want to make sure I actually don't miss this outgoing tide, because otherwise I'm going to be paddling in the dark. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this little tour up the this is actually a little estuary that runs into the basin, so you can follow it all the way up to the waterfall at the end there, and yeah, lovely little walk. I so should have brought the camping hammock with me. Now, I don't know how clean this water is, but it's really warm. And knowing Sydney, it's probably full of dog shit and motor oil, but it looks clean. And certainly, if wildlife is anything to go by, it is really teeming with fish and insects and hopefully no leeches. I think it's fairly fresh at this bit up here. It doesn't appear to be tidal, so I think the tide doesn't come up this far. But yeah, just a very nice place to come. Very quiet, and I shall be back here for sure. I found a couple of places I'm thinking I can camp up here. It's really funny, as I came in right at the entrance to the basin there's a whole lot of people camping, and that's the place where you have to camp, because of course it's illegal to camp up here. So I won't be camping. I'll be just stringing my hammock up and having a rest for 8 or 9 hours in the middle of the night, because yeah, you're not allowed to camp up here. And we are just drifting down this estuary now, and yeah, it's unfortunately I didn't bring the camera stand with me, so I'd have loved to have paddled you out through here just to show you how beautiful it is, but you'll just have to take my word for it. And certainly next time I come up here and, like I said, string the hammock up just for a bit of a rest. No camping, of course. That's another good thing about putting the hammock up, of course, is that as long as you've got nice wide straps on the actual hammock, you don't damage anything. You don't damage trees. You don't trample down ground. You basically hop in. It's time to go to bed and have a snooze and get up the next morning. And when you leave, you don't leave any trace of that you were actually there. You don't flatten down grass. You don't break sticks. Yeah, so it's probably the way to go, really, for minimum impact camping. Of course, we don't. No, sorry, not camping, because it's illegal to camp up here. Minimum impact, taking a rest after a long paddle overnight. Anyway, I better get moving, because otherwise I'm going to be paddling in the dark, and that's not going to be good. And the tide might turn, and then I'm going to be in real strife. Anyway, going to go like a bat out of hell now. I'm going to start recording when we get back to the basin, just to tell you a bit about the history of the basin, and then I'm out of here. Bye! I've just run myself aground. For a change, I've done it intentionally. And just to tell you a little bit about this place, that area where I came in where the current was really running strong under the bridge, that's a natural opening for this particular inlet. And it's called the Basin for obvious reasons, like a lot of places in Sydney that are called the Basin. It's like a little enclosed area with a very narrow opening. And in the early colonial days, they decided that, in their infinite wisdom, that where they came from was always better than where they had actually found themselves to be. So they wanted to stock Australia with species of fish that were not native to Australia. They didn't appreciate what they had here. They wanted all the species that they had from the old country, from England and Europe. So they stocked this. They basically built a dam across the opening. For a number of years, they were breeding fish in this little area, and it was a successful venture for a few years, 2 or 3 years, I think, or maybe longer. And then at some point in time, probably because this area wasn't being flushed naturally like it should be by the tides, it was being closed off unnaturally. A lot of the seagrasses died, and then disease took hold in the fish population, and they had a massive dieback of fish, and basically that put in an end to the operation. And common sense prevailed, and they opened up the opening, and it's now a natural inlet that's tidal in the section, and like you just saw further up the river, up the creek there, is fresh water further up. So really an interesting place to come for the day, or for me maybe a bit longer. But anyway, sorry about the length of the history lesson, but Wikipedia is a magnificent thing. Okay, made it to the mouth of the basin, and I think the tide's still running out, so when I get a bit closer, I'll be able to show you how strong the current is. It's probably not as strong as it was when I came in. I think the tide's not quite as strong as it was, but it still feels like it's going out that way. Is it still running out? G'day.
Hello.
Strong current through here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss you. Only just. Whoops, sorry. It was a near miss. He was holding onto the rope. Okay, it's a bit of 6 of one, half a dozen the other. The tide's running with me, but the wind's running against me, I think. But still making good headway even without paddling. So I'd say that the tide's going to win out, and I'm hopefully going to have a quick trip home. I nearly collected that kid under the bridge because he was not going to let go of that rope. And so yeah, I had to chuck the camera in my pocket and take some evasive action. But no, it's good. Really nice place to come, actually. I'll just show you the campground that people are staying at. It's so close to Sydney, it's amazing. I don't know if that's a campground or whether that's just a day stop, but looks like there's a few tents set up, so they look like they're having a good time anyway. I better start paddling because I'm going to run aground. I am just presently riding the rudder pedals. Not flying along, but you can probably see over here. It's I'm you know, just cruising along in the current, outgoing tide. And this is a sandbar that sort of sits between the coast and the main part of Port Hacking. So yeah, you won't see too many boats coming up here. You might see the odd fishing kayak and maybe a runabout, but very shallow water here, so just makes it great for kayaks because no one else can come up here. But yeah, into the craisins, having a bit of dry fruit, getting the energy levels back for the paddle across Port Hacking. Once I get out of this current, I'll go like a bat out of hell to get across that main part of the Port Hacking there, because you've got a lot of large cruisers coming through and nobody slows down to drop a wash down. They don't give a shit. So you just got to try and ride it out when it comes through. And I'm always wondering whether to go side onto it. But if it's too big, it'll swamp the boat, or ride straight through it. Don't know. If you've got any opinions on the best way to go through a wake, put it in the comments. Let me know, because I'm only going on what I've observed, not what might be common practice. Anyway, yeah, if you get a chance, Port Hacking, it's a great paddle, and so close to Sydney. You know, and I'm back in suburbia again. A few moments ago, no houses, no people, no boats, just me and the bush. And now I'm back in Sydney again. It's literally, probably 30-minute paddle. So if you feel like a quick sojourn in the bush, maybe even a quick overnighter, stealthy one that nobody knows about, this would be the place to come to. Especially on this is school holidays and I didn't see anyone up there, so I imagine a normal weekday you'd have the place to yourself. So yeah, that's it really. I was going to go do Southwest Arm Creek, and I am going to do it, but I think I'll wait till another day, because I'm plumb tuckered out and I'm worried I'm going to run out of light as well, which would be a bit of a problem. So maybe next time. So that's the end of this kayak adventure. I might give you a bit of footage of the Wharf area so you can have a look at what that's like. But yeah, great paddle. The tide is definitely going out. Tide has gone right out. I paddled across all of this, made a beeline from that white house on the other side, and it was shallow when I was coming across, but now it's all above water, so I've got to hopefully get out through this little channel here. But I have literally been scraping the bottom for most of the way, but it's still doable, but only just. But you certainly wouldn't want to be battling against this. But you know, you could always just get out and give it a bit of a portage. It's a nice white sandy beach. You just drag along the beach, so it'd be good. Wouldn't be a problem. Nice day out. And we're just heading back to Wally's Wharf, and a few big boats around. Not a big swell, just a lot of wash from passing power boats and whatnot. So. A bit of a rock on, but nothing to worry about. I'm glad I'm not over near that thing, because on the way across I passed one of those quite close, and yeah, I nearly drowned. So yeah, I'll give you a little bit of a look at Wally's Wharf once we get a bit closer.